Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. I thought we would have a look at the Alcione, which is the new Albatross class, which is coming in for the next event, which I believe starts tomorrow actually. The Alcione is incredibly similar to another vehicle that we already have in the game. This one is in the Italian tech tree. It's the Albatross, the F543. The only difference I can really see between them is that this one gets access to 2 TG100 depth charges and 48 Hedgehog mortars, whereas with the Alcione, it gets 48 of the Hedgehog mortars, so the same, but then 20 of the Mark IV depth charges that you can see back here. All of these which are sat on the launchers. So it seems to get more depth charges, but that's really about it. And let's be very frank, depth charges in War Thunder do not do a lot right now. Maybe in the future, when submarines are added, they will, but at the moment, they're not very useful. So, what about some of the other factors that this vehicle has? Well, it has access to the 2 single 76mm guns, the SMP3s. These ones are pretty deadly. The reason for it is because they have a automatic kind of loading system on them. I know it says the whole 7-second reload rate, but don't worry about that. I can show you here the actual reload of the 76mm. So, for example, you can also see that they're actually quite fast to move around too, but you can see this is the reload. So the reload rate itself is actually talking about when you decide to switch rounds between them, not necessarily when you are actually firing or reloading the rounds. They instead have these pretty aggressive automatic loaders, and that's something that a lot of these Italian kind of vehicles are known for. Stuff just where you could just rapid fire slightly lower caliber machines. So this thing has a ready rack of 30 pieces of ammunition in each of the guns, so you technically have 60 rounds before you run out, and then obviously you'll have to reload. So that's okay, that's good enough to pretty much destroy any coastal vehicle that you run into. These 76mm also don't just have access to HE, they also have another HE. The difference between them is the amount of TNT equivalent and also the penetration. So the second one, the OM2HE, has access to higher TNT equivalent, slightly higher penetration, and the same muzzle velocity. So there's no reason to take the one over the two. And then you have the HEVT, which will be good against planes and also good against other stuff too. So it is quite nice that this thing does get upgraded rounds. It is an event vehicle, so it isn't a premium. And it's also at rank 5 for the Italians, so it's going to take a lot of effort to get this thing ground out and spaded. You can see here 207,000 RP for this vehicle, and that is one of the problems with these high-end coastal vehicles. It takes ages to grind them out because, to be honest, they don't really have great survivability. So those whole changes that Gaijin did, where the amount of modification RP you get is based around more your survivability in a game, so how long you last, and also your actions. Well, this thing and many other coastal machines kind of got shafted by that, because a lot of them don't survive for very long. This thing only has 40 crew. No, it doesn't, sorry. It has 117 crew. I was looking at the max speed, and it doesn't have any armor. So whenever something hits you, it hits you like a truck, and that sucks. It only has 60mm, which doesn't even stop most HGs at this BR, especially since you're going to have a lot of destroyers running around. The vehicle does have the bridge on the front, the radio station and fire control very close to each other, so if you just mash the center of it here, it will not really be able to fire back, so that's kind of a problem. It does have a fire director, which does have a very, very quick calculator on it, so you'll be able to fire accurately with these guns very quickly, which is quite nice. And it also does have a search radar too. So this is specifically for air vehicles. The search radar is absolutely tiny, by the way, and I'm kind of surprised how small it is, but yeah, it's up there, so you'll be able to accurately fire the guns with the HEVT at planes too. You have 2 sets of engines with 2 very small funnels, and the rest is comprised of, well, the propellers, the rudder at the back, and then also fuel tanks. But the main thing, as I said, no survivability on this thing. It has a bunch of ammo in the center for the Bofors, and then also for the 76s, so it might be worth trying to limit it, because you have massive ammo racks over it, and it's just going to explode. The Hedgehogs are quite nice, especially if they decide at some point to add in what they were going to add in with the arc that you could see. They had it on the dev server, but it never actually came to the game, which kind of made me sad. And also there's a few other factors that are quite nice, like the fact that, you know, you don't have to take them if you don't want, and also the modifications, the major ones that you're looking at are of course the rounds, but the mobility stuff shouldn't really make a huge difference on this thing, since, you know, it will spawn in a decent place and you'll be able to do a decent chunk with it. No torpedoes, which kind of sucks, but with the rapid fire of the guns, you should be okay. You'll be able to do a decent chunk of damage with it. And also, one of the things that this thing will do, and this is one of those that isn't really talked about too much, but should be, to be honest, is it will be able to boost you to rank 5 in the overall setup. Now, you have the 40mm. These 40mm are the L70s, so they have very good fire rates, and they're in a dual mount back here. But yeah, they're going back to the original point. So one of the things about Naval, especially during events in Naval, is the fact that you have a very interesting setup, right? Where you can run coastal vehicles along with blue water vehicles. This is also the same for dailies, this is the same for specials and all of that stuff. And one of the key components of combining both of them is the idea that what you can do, there you go, that's what the search radar looks like, and then you can actually search as well if it can find something. But what you can do is you can mix ranks. So for example, a lot of destroyers for Italy are around the kind of rank 2 area, which are 4.0. This thing is 4.0, so by bringing along this and bringing it with those destroyers, what you can end up doing is pretty cool. You can basically, at the end of the day, make that lineup rank 5. So you get additional bonuses to researching the vehicles that you're researching. You also get access to being able to do dailies, being able to do specials with vehicles you usually wouldn't, because you can spawn in a higher ranked vehicle and then do the major grinding in a different vehicle, which is kind of fun. There you go. That's how the search radar works. So you could do that with like a vehicle like this, and then it could count towards it. Also with like the mission score and stuff on different things, it means that as long as you like spawn in this or click to spawn in it, what will end up happening is you will be able to set it up in a way where you can, well, effectively in a way game the system, which I think is fine. You know, it's because it promotes using vehicles like this when most of the time they are just fodder for destroyers or fodder for other vehicles that wander around the place. The Alcione is a pretty beautiful vehicle, and it's a way for people to get access to the high tiers of Italian coastal without having to grind Italian coastal. And just like the Bayern and many other vehicles around it, that seems to be a key point that they're trying to do with these vehicles. Give people a taste of the top tier to be able to then go from there. So for the fire rate, you can see that you can get a decent chunk of rounds off before you have to reload. And that also means that you can just like fire out a ton of shots and do a decent chunk of damage before going around. You could also alternate fire and then just keep doing that. And then, yeah, the clip size, I'm not entirely sure how much it is. It feels like it's 15 or it feels like it's 20. But yeah, you can have a bit of fun with it as it goes around. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.